Hello, and you are back in the Velvet Room with Jokerthefool. This is our 75th episode, and today we'll be discussing celebrities abandoning Biden and more aid out the door while we're distracted. So, we're going to get right into this first topic. This is a bit of a free topic thing. We're going to, more like, let's say, two and a half. I think that's a better word. But we've got this article from WLT Report. Headline reads, Mike Tyson defends Donald Trump, he's the man. So this is basically Mike Tyson, old friends, saying he's supporting Donald Trump. Recently had dinner with Mar-a-Lago at his family, and I think this is indicative that you'll see a lot of people in the celebrity class. Mike Tyson's explicitly saying, I'm supporting Trump. He's my guy. MAGA 2024, but you'll have more people who won't go on the Trump train, but they're just going to abandon Biden. You saw this pretty recently with Dwayne The Rock Johnson, basically being asked if the country's in a good spot. And he said no, and he also said that he basically regrets supporting Biden, and that was a big one. Of course, you had all the lefties saying, "How could you not support Biden? Trump hates all the black people, and if you don't, vote blue, no matter who, everyone's going to be back in chains, yada yada yada." All that sort of things. But a lot of that is just gum flapping when you look at what the Uniparty with the blue tint has done to this country. The celebrity class are just going to be abandoning Biden in droves, and they're going to be not necessarily supporting Trump like Tyson is. Tyson's very much, saying like he's my guy. I'm supporting Trump. You'll definitely see people like that, but you're not going to see Mike Tyson's support of Trump reflected in people with Biden unless you've got ones who are like the deepest into the Hollywood sphere. Think of your like Jimmy Kimmel's of the world, the Stephen Colbert's, the Jon Stewart's. Those will be the ones who will be the most supportive of Biden, but even then, it's going to come off as very corporate. So most of the celebrity class, they're not going to support Trump. They're just going to say, we need to do better, or we need to, you need to take the choice that makes you feel the most comfortable. But Biden isn't the best for this country, so they're not going to be supporting and endorsing Biden left and right like was happening in 2020, because you had the COVID hysteria combined with the Trump hysteria to really just make like TDS like at its peak. I think that was November of 2020, because of course you got Trump up for re-election, and he lost, quote unquote, that election, and a lot of it was because of you had this economic downturn of COVID. You had all the nonsense that went on with that election cycle for the mail-in ballots and all of that as well. And of course, you had the fact that you had this pandemic where all these people were dying from the pandemic. We can debate those numbers any day, but there was this increase of mortality, and all that was being pinned on Trump. Like, if Trump wasn't president, if he wasn't doing the things, if he wasn't this COVID denier telling people to drink bleach, then we'd all still be alive. So that really fed into the hatred and hysteria of Trump, and that's why you had a lot of celebrities endorsing Biden for office. But I do not think that's going to happen this time around. You are going to see celebrities abandon Biden in droves, and you'll even see some who will come out supportive of Donald Trump, like Mike Tyson did. But I think what Dwayne Johnson's doing, where he's like, well, country's not in a good spot, I regret supporting Biden, and then not saying anything further, I think is going to be more or less what you see from the celebrity class, if they say anything at all, because you'll have the handler say, you'll have these publicists, these agents, they don't say anything about politics at all. It's going to be a losing game. Just say nothing. Just say, oh yeah, I just want people to register to vote for November and act as their civil duty, like some really cookie cutter stuff. If anything gets said at all, and if something does get said, it's going to not be in support of Biden, like you did see during 2020. But of course, I think around October, leading a couple weeks leading up to election time, is when you'll see a lot of begrudging corporate endorsements from these celebrities, if they happen. But I think they're less likely to happen than they did in the year of 2020. But speaking of Trump, since we were talking about Mike Tyson supports Trump, and if you're still with me, thank you. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, whatever platform you are happening to listen to this podcast on. But we're heading into the next topic. But this topic is being pushed during the Trump trial. So if you don't know, if you live under a rock, Trump is under a criminal trial. The jury has been set. There's been all this drama with who the jurors can be and the opening statements, and he had a guy light himself on fire just before it happened. So there's been a lot of drama with these Trump trials, and while everyone's been, waiting with bated breath to see if Trump gets convicted, becomes a felon. If becomes a felon, then they're trying to, take his Secret Service entitlements away. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that they want to do. But I think this is all a distraction for two things. I think the biggest thing, the thing that I want to focus on right now, and there's another little addendum of news, is this headline from Newsweek, or this article from Newsweek, the headline reading, "Here's what Israel, Taiwan, and Ukraine are getting under the aid package." So this was April 21st, 2024 when this was published, and despite some backlash from conservative lawmakers, the $95 billion package that will provide military aid to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan cleared the U.S. House of Representatives Saturday. A $95 billion foreign aid package. $61 billion is going to Ukraine, so Zelensky's going to be a happy boy if this passes for sure. A lot more money gets laundered. So you'll have 23.2 dedicated to replenishing weapons and ammos for the U.S. military, and then let's see, you've got $26 billion is going to Israel and the humanitarian relief for people besieged in Gaza, which is code word for a lot of that money is going to get laundered by it's going to end up in the hands of Hamas and Hezbollah and the Muslim Brotherhood and a whole bunch of people, and they're just going to use it to buy weapons. And so all the most of these weapons. Anyway, so 26 is going to Israel, 61 billion is going to Ukraine, and 8 billion is going to go towards helping the U.S. allies in the Indo-Pacific region and neutralizing China. So this is sending the money to Taiwan. So again, billions of dollars is going out the door for foreign aid, right? And this is happening while the Trump trial is happening. So people are distracted, focusing on the Trump trial while Congress is using the money they steal from you and sending it to other people to empire build half a world away, when we've got schools and infrastructure falling apart. We've got these extreme criminal problems. We have this extreme polarization of society. There's a lot of problems that we have domestically. We've got the whole border thing. But even regardless of, the border crisis, just these domestic issues that we face in terms of infrastructure, education, the societal issues, the lack of community, the breakdown of the family, all these things. And a lot of this is, done by the government, of course, which is why they're not going to address these issues, because, this is all part of the plan. I think it's the Cloward Piven theory or whatever, where you've got accelerationists that try and bring on the destruction of society to gain control. I could be getting it wrong, but that's the basic gist of it. And of course, I do think you have a lot of accelerationists in government. You have a lot of people who are destroying and degrading society as much as possible to try and glean what they can from it, like shorting a stock. I mentioned this on this episode of Hump Day Potpourri, which will be out tomorrow if you're listening to this today on Tuesday. So there is that fact, but the fact of the matter is that they're always just trying to keep you distracted so they can, keep the wool over your eyes and do stuff like this, like send money to Israel, Taiwan, Ukraine, keep America involved in this empire building and these forever wars that is fundamentally unpopular with the population. So most people do not support this, do not want America to be doing this, but they're going to keep doing it anyway, and they're going to be doing it in a way where the least amount of people actually notice and can be mad about it. And then the other thing, this is a little bit of an addendum, is that you have new Title IX, our new revision to Title IX, and I think they tried pushing this 2 years ago. There was like 300,000 comments when it went into the review period, so it got delayed a bit. But I think back in 2021, they basically want to federalize protections for, trans women being in women's sports, right? You have these men that identify as women, and therefore they feel entitled to participate in women's sports, because if we don't let them participate in women's sports, we're committing an act of genocide by saying, hey, you're actually a man. because you're puberty as a man, you've got like 30 to 100 pounds on the average woman. You've got more muscle mass. You've got thicker bone structure. You've got more lung capacity. I could go on and on about the biological advantages that men have over women when it comes to athleticism. Which means that on average, a male athlete is going to be better than a female athlete. Of course, you'll have exceptions to this, but this is going to be the case in most cases, and this extrapolates to the top end. So in Olympic sports, the best male Olympic athletes will be better than the best female Olympic athletes on average. Of course, you can find one or two exceptions to the rule, but those exceptions don't justify saying that, well, there's no biological differences, or they're meaningless, or they're not significant enough to bar trans women from being in women's sports, because if we don't let these men, we don't affirm their delusion that they are women, and let them participate in women's sports and let them change in the women's locker room, then they're just going to have to commit suicide. And that's really the emotional blackmail that they're using, and that's really what they want to federalize, and then have the federal government's perceived legitimacy help push that narrative. Again, I'm not sure if this is explicitly happening with the current revisions. I think it's something they wanted to do, and then they backed off from it because it's a very deeply unpopular issue. It's going to get a lot of swing voters to swing away from Biden and the Democrats. So it's definitely something I imagine them doing like January of 25 if they can get Biden back into the White House, or have Biden win the election and then he goes the way of the dodo, and they get Kamala to basically push it. Whatever, they want to secure the election for the uniparty, take it away from Trump. Which I honestly don't think is going to happen if Trump can, weather the course that they're putting him through, with all the criminal trials and all the takedowns and all the censorship. If he can survive that, get to November, I think it's pretty likely he'll win the election, and then I think this will be a massive roadblock in making those Title IX changes happen. Like I said, federalizing transgender athletes, being able to participate in the leagues that they identify with, i.e. A trans woman being able to participate in women's sports, right? And that's really what it is about, is that you can't have a separate transgender league. It has to be like, this person is actually a woman. That's why trans women are women is the mantra, right? And if you don't anything other than saying, well, they get to participate in women's sports, is basically acknowledging that trans women aren't women, which is an act of genocide. And again, that's really the mindset they're operating in, is that if you aren't 100% in support with everything that they want to do all the time, then you are either actively committing the genocide against trans people, or you are complicit in it. And again, all of this is not being focused on because we're focused on Trump's criminal trial, which, again, I'm not saying don't keep up with that news. Just be aware that there's other things going on. Like I always say, the media cannot tell you what to think. They'll tell you what to think about, and they'll have you thinking about things that really don't matter in the grand scheme of things and are not at all indicative of what the handlers have in mind for you. What the handler's agenda is does not give you any insight into that. In fact, it steers you as far away as possible from that if you want to know, because knowing is the first step in finding a solution. And with that, I think I'll leave it here. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We're heading into the outro now. Thank you for being in the Velvet Room with Jokerthefool. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, whether you're listening on YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, or Substack, and be sure to subscribe to my Substack, velvetroompublishing.substack.com, to keep up with Machine to Man and all my other projects.